What is literacy? Literacy has been widely accepted as the ability to read and to write. Period. No further explanation needed. But this class has changed that solid period into a pliable question mark. As John Swed points out in the Ethnography of Literacy, the stunning fact is that we do not know what literacy is. Literacy is often associated with the generic idea of school. The picture of a student reading a 500-page novel and writing a five-page paper. But what happens to the idea of literacy outside of this picture? What does literacy mean in the social context? To understand how literacy works outside the frame of school, I had to review the 5 elements of literacy. I have come to realize that the majority of the population does not read long novels or write long papers as a daily routine. The majority of the population reads and writes as a basic means of communication and participation. They compose and consume emails, tweets, thank you cards, magazine articles, and road signs. The context and function varies with each text itself and with each participant. Participants read and write for work, pleasure, participation, and survival. What we read and why we read are continually changing. Who are the participants of literacy? I believe that every person is a participant in literacy because they communicate and participate in the world around them. Not everyone has to fit in the generic frame of school literacy to be a participant, whether they produce or consume. And every person has their own motivation for participation, because they have to, want to, need to, because they simply can. In understanding these 5 elements of literacy, I have come to realize that literacy is bigger than the educated people of the world. Literacy cannot and should not be limited to a 6-word definition squeezed between thousands of other words. Literacy is being a human being. It is being part of a society. It is participating within a culture. It simply is. But viewing and understanding how literacy works and is supported in society should make us as future teachers change how we view literacy within the framework of school. We should realize that social literacy is changing from a world of pencils to a world of pixels. I have always been resistant to the evolution of technology, especially when it comes to literacy and education. I love turning the pages of a book and seeing the residue of lead on the side of my hand. But as Dennis Barron points out, pencils were also a resisted technology. The technology of literacy has been resisted and devalued since the innovation of writing itself as a technology. Then pencils were resisted, then telegraphs, phones, typewriters, and now computers, smartphones, and tablets. As future teachers, we must realize the same debate has been around for decades and even centuries, and realize that the evolution of literacy and its technologies is inevitable. And because this evolution is inevitable, and because social literacy is in a time of pixels, we must learn to change the way in which we define literacy in teaching. As Reading in a Participatory Culture states, teaching the new media literacies means helping young people to acquire the habits of mind required to fully engage within networked public. Not only have I learned that literacy now encompasses digital literacy, but I have learned that students should be regarded as members of society, not members of school. We should teach students how to participate within their culture, society, and world. And in this point in time, that cannot be done without the updated versions of technology. This generation of students is growing up in a world of digital literacy, and as future teachers, we should learn to support the world in which these students are a part of. We must redefine teaching, as I myself have done through this class, and realize that teaching is for the benefit of students. That teaching is not about being the expert, but about providing students with the tools to become their own experts. We should learn to let go of what we are comfortable with in order to help students be consumers and composers of a participatory culture. So in short, I have learned that literacy cannot be defined because it cannot remain stagnant. But I have also learned that literacy is participation, communication, teaching, learning, surviving, and simply being.